When you have a busy day ahead, try Batiste Dry Shampoo. It helps to support healthy hair by giving you the power to wash your hair less, reducing damage caused by washing and saving you time to do whatever you need to do. Plus, Batiste offers a wide range of products with amazing, long-lasting fragrances to match any mood. Check out the new Batiste Texturizing Dry Shampoo, which adds grip and texture by removing excess oil. Refresh with the best. Buy Batiste Dry Shampoo in store or online at your nearest retailer.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, buddy. How are you? It's been a week. I'm finally able to talk again. It's so nice.
You have those nice like up and downs in your voice and the cracks and everything too. So it comes with territory.
It's like puberty, the flu puberty.
I feel like everyone is getting over something these days. There's always something going around. I guess it's just being around each other again after pandemic quarantine. But
I think it is.
Yeah. And something in your voice, however, like you can't yell very well, can you?
No, I cannot.
No. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to stop the yelling because it is an impulse in so many of us to just lose it and be like, what were you thinking? And
yeah, that's my go-to. Yeah.
We both have plenty of opportunities to do that this week. So we will share that with you and how we kept our cool. It's all about a thought process and all about like the time you're given. So let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
So keeping your cool, not exploding, is a really, really hard thing to do.
Not only is it a hard thing to do, but I think that almost everybody, we all feel guilty when it happens, like we did something wrong. And I'm not saying that we should be yelling at people all the time, but it's also somewhat a reaction that we all have it sometimes. We all lose our cool sometimes. So you can't beat yourself up every time.
Yeah. And like, I think it's all comes down to a habit. It's a habit right now if you find yourself yelling. Habits can be broken. Habits aren't a personal like indication of like who you are as a human being. It's just a little habit. And it could be kind of stemmed through how you think about it and your mindset. And before we got on today, Bree, you were saying like how you and I and Miguel are different.
Yeah. So like it all started with, I had an incident happen last night on the way home from, so like Thursdays in our household is like family night. And we typically do like takeout and then do something fun as a family. And yesterday we had gone to get takeout. It was myself, Miguel, and my stepson, Hyan, was in the car. And we had food for 5 people and I was driving and we were driving to pick up my daughter from a friend's house. It's dark, not entirely familiar with my area. Somebody slams on their brakes in front of me. And so I slam on my brakes and I hear like just sodas everywhere. Like you could literally hear the cups crashing and like the ice flying. And I hear my stepson go, "Oh, should have held on to those." And I'm like in the car. So like it's just funny because first of all, I'm very particular about my car. I don't like my car being dirty. And I think that comes from years of having toddlers, right? Like they're now teens. So I like my car being clean. But I'm sitting there and I told Joanne like I was saved by the darkness and the fact that I was in the car because I just squeezed that steering wheel super tight. I was so upset and I wanted to be like, "What are you doing?" But I didn't. I was able to breathe and calm down. And after like about 5 minutes, I was totally fine. So like by the time we got home, we were laughing about it. But that wouldn't have been my normal reaction because, like you just said, you, Joanne, and my husband have this very calm Zen presence. And when things go wrong, you both, I have been around the two of you, you both tend to be like, "Oh, It happens, and then you move on. You don't raise your voice, you don't snap. But for me, I'm a snapper. I'm like a little firecracker. I just go, what happened?
So I was thinking about that, and I don't believe it's anything innate within me or you. Like, I don't think it's like a hereditary or a genetic thing. Like, you're a yeller, you're not a yeller. And I was trying to think back, and I'm like, why am I not a yeller?
People
Yeah.
label themselves as like a yeller, and that really isn't true. Like you're saying, it's not really that.
It's not really that. I think
I
it's
don't
just
think so.
how you perceive the situation and what goes down. Because
Yeah.
I grew up reading the Babysitter Club books. Did you ever grow up reading that?
Yes, I had and I
Yeah.
also did the like Babysitter Club Little Sister series. I like that one too.
Oh, really? I
Oh,
never
yeah.
got into those. I got into the super special books where it was like somebody from each point of view. Did you read those where they went on a cruise?
No.
And you're like, please, could I get a babysitting job where they take me on a cruise? That would
Oh,
be
I know, right?
awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, all the things. But in Babysitter's Club, like one of the things they said is like, they're like, oh, babysitters like play with the kids. They don't just like watch TV, and they have activities for them. And so I've always gone into working with kids is to be very interactive. And then I think what also got me is that, first of all, my parents yelled. My dad lost his cool all the time, mostly against my little sister. Like she would get them so riled up. And she still does, Jamie. But I love her to pieces. She knows it too. She kind of does it sometimes, pushes it
Oh my
up.
gosh.
But she's so riled up, and there would be a lot of yelling in my house, a lot. And so I became a camp counselor, and as a camp counselor, you get training. You get like a week of pre-camp or whatever. And the person who ran it, her name is Judy, but she went by the name of Big Bird. And Big Bird was very...
Okay, you cannot have a straight face when you're talking about Big Bird. And Big Bird told me.
Big Bird told me.
That is a phrase I
Bird.
never thought I would hear from you, Joanne. I never thought the words, and Big Bird would tell me. I don't
Bird.
think that.
We called her Bird. We were like, Bird. She was just so great with planning out this way. Like, we had a very calm camp. It wasn't about yelling at the kids. I mean, if the kids were standing on the side of the mountain and doing something that might likely get them hurt, it would be like, hey, like, you're allowed to yell then.
There is no cliff diving off the side of the mountain. Do you hear me?
But for like littler things, say they were just like not listening or, doing stuff kids do, we had a lot of strategies that we could fall back on. So yelling wasn't the first strategy to use. And yelling was extremely discouraged because it was all about, keeping your cool, being the calm one, making this a really loving, happy environment, which I think is one of the benefits of camp. You have this loving, happy environment. And so that's how I was introduced to working with kids. And then through the years and through things with my sister, I think I've just seen things go horribly wrong. And so most stuff doesn't bother me. For instance, I heard your drink story, and immediately I thought of the time where my dad and my sister were yelling at each other in the car. And my mom and I had gotten out, and I can't even remember what it was about, but we had just gone to Starbucks. I think my sister was like 13 maybe. But my mom and I were opening the door to our house, and we heard this yelling in the van. And then all of a sudden, my sister had a vanilla cream frappuccino. A vanilla cream frappuccino explodes over the front window of the car. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
Like she had gotten so mad
She
that
threw it?
threw her vanilla cream frappuccino in the car.
Snap!
And my mom and I were like,
You're like, get in the house, lock the door, lock the door, lock the door. I don't want to think about the sex.
And she went, and I think my sister was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And she like immediately went in the house too. And she had to go and clean it up and everything like that. But that is what I thought about when your drink story happened. Cause I'm like, well, it wasn't a vanilla cream frappuccino all over the front window of the car. So we're good. It's all good. We're okay here.
Yeah. No, it was, yeah. It was funny though. Cause like, so, and I think all of us have that story, right? Like, especially about things being spilt in the car. Cause as soon as my daughter got in the car and like, she's like, why is my seat wet? And I'm like, oh, we spilled some drinks. There was a towel. I always carry towels in the car. I still have that from when I had toddlers. There's always towels in the car. And I'm like, grab a towel at the back. And she gets in and she starts going like, oh, remember that time I spilt my ocean water in the back seat? Oh, you lost it, Mom. And she's like telling the story about like when she was like 5 and spilled a drink in the back seat and how I completely lost my cool. And
they always have such memories of that.
And I'm like
my kids,
that sucks.
My kids come back to it and she's like, Mom, remember when you did this? And I'm like, no, I didn't do that. Sometimes I do feel like I'm being gaslit by my kids, honestly, when it comes to that, because I'm like, you're making me doubt my own reality here. And I don't think that happened.
I don't remember. I will tell you, I do not remember that, but it sounded like me. So I was like, I just sat there for a moment and like as she's talking, still driving home in the dark. And I just was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. And she's like, whatever. And it's interesting. Like we all have those moments where those things happen and they push our buttons. Some of us tend to do it more than others. And you know what? I think if you're in a household where it tends to be, and it's funny because you will be the exception to this analogy, but I think if you're in the household where you have to speak loudly to be heard or where that's just like a normal conversation in the family to have raised voices, I think you might be more apt to go in that direction quicker than others. Again, like it sounds like you're the exception on this, but I think that a lot of people do tend to kind of just go with what they heard growing up. And so that's why it continues that way. And that's the interesting part in my family too, because I have a blended family, obviously. And my kids are used to me like raising my voice or snapping when I get upset. They also know that within about 30 seconds, there's going to be I'm really sorry. Like if that happens, like I don't yell all the time, but when I do yell, there tends to be like a repair afterwards. But my husband is not like that at all. So my stepson, like if he hears my voice raise, like at 22, he physically takes a step back because he's not used to hearing that. And yeah, I think it's just kind of
that'd be my kids too. I ask at a louder voice. I'm like, hey, can you do the dishes? Mom, you don't have to yell at me. I'm like, I'm not yelling.
I just had to get over the YouTube. YouTube was a little loud.
I'm not yelling. I may be a little more urgent, but this isn't a yell. But you bring up an interesting point. Like, I don't know where the yelling comes from, because I want to bottle it. I want to bottle it and like give it to as many people as possible, because like yelling brings a lot of stress, I think, to the yeller.
It does.
Because you feel horrible about it if you've lost it.
Yeah.
And
it was saying normally when you're in that moment, right? You feel icky.
Mhm.
You're just not even
Yeah.
horrible about it. Like you feel like crap in that moment because you're that angry that you're yelling.
Yeah. And I mean, I've experienced that anger for sure. I have like been so insanely frustrated, like just last week, where I went into the kitchen and I gripped the counter and I'm just like, ah! Like, but it wasn't about my kids. I mean, it wasn't to my kids, and I don't think they could hear me. It was in a spot where I could just release it. And I knew I needed to release it.
Yeah.
And when I was in that state, I'm like, oh, geez, okay, this is telling me I am at my limit. I am at my limit. And that is why I am losing it. Because one of the big things that you pay attention to when you're trying to break the habit of yelling is just, it's about what comes before the yell. It's about what you have basically had to deal with before that causes you to be at that point. Because I mean, with the car last night, I mean, you didn't yell. Did you have big stressors that day before?
Well, no, I could definitely tell you the stressors that were happening there. Like I was driving, I didn't know where I was going. And the car slamming on the brakes in front of me scared me. And I just like I was already at a very heightened spot right there where like my anxiety was all really, really high. So and that's just right there. That's not talking about like the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know about the rest of the day. I know I felt like crap because I'm still getting over the flu, but I know that those exact moments led up to the reaction that I had. Like that's why I wanted to yell, because I was already anxious. It was that, like, think of it like a teapot, like where I was already boiling and that steam had to come out. And that's where it would have come out.
I'm wondering though, because you were able to keep it together in that moment, like you were able to calm down. So I'm wondering, like, hypothesizing here, armchair experting, if because you are getting over the flu, that maybe your day went a little bit slower than normal. And like you, even though you were at that heightened state of anxiety, you actually still had stuff left in your tank to keep it under control.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It was less stress.
Yes, I did not. You are 100% right. I can agree with that I didn't have a crazy stressful day that would have caused me to uncontrollably snap. I was able to yell in my head, but not in real life.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think it's like really paying attention to what state you're in and trying to manage that versus trying to stop yelling in the moment, because there's no way you can stop yelling in the moment if you don't have anything left. Like Dr. Mona Badelahook calls it the body budget. Like if your body budget is over budget, like there's no way you can stop the reaction. There's no way you can stop the yelling. Yeah. I was experiencing that actually this past weekend. We went down to Tucson to visit my sister and my nephew. And my nephew's 3, and he has so much energy. He is like, and it's like the energy where you're trying to keep him from seriously hurting himself, Brie. Like he will climb up on kitchen counters and like chairs, and he'll be like rocking back and forth in the chair when he's trying to grab something else. So you're here trying to like get out dinner, and he's rocking back and forth, and then all of a sudden like the chair tips backwards and you have to jut out and grab him so he doesn't fall down and hit his head.
Oh my gosh.
And that combined with like him coming just on you. Like I was just eating dinner and like he comes and I'm in the corner in my parents' kitchen, and you have to like push in chairs to get to that corner. And so like you're trapped in that corner.
Yeah.
Here comes under the chair my 3-year-old nephew popping up, and I'm like, hi. And he's like, hi. And he comes up and sits on my lap, and then he gets like all of the like with his hands, his messy hands, and he gets stuff all over me. And like it was so much sensory input to me that I am not adjusted to anymore. That I felt the like sensations. I'm like, I can't handle much more of this without snapping. Like I can't handle it. So like if you're right here, if you have a toddler, if you have a young child and you're giving yourself shame for yelling, there's a reason for the yelling, and I'm totally with you there. And of course, you're losing your cool, especially if you have a very, very active youngster.
Well, and of course you're losing your cool too if you're being put in an environment that you're not used to anymore. That's the other thing too. Like it's hard. And well, it's harder and it isn't harder. Like I think sometimes I have more patience. Like when I would go and work in the classroom, the preschool classroom, I had so much patience.
Oh, yeah, me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I wasn't in that environment all the time. But you're right. Like if I was at home and I had like a kid crawling all over me, I'd probably be like, no.
Oh my gosh. And he had this toy called Hammy. It's Hammy the hamster. And what Hammy the hamster does is imitates everything you say, but at a higher pitch. And so
those are cute in the store, but not in real life.
He was like, hi, Hammy. And Hammy would go, hi, Hammy. And then he'd go, ah! And Hammy would go, ah!
Oh my God. I'd be like, I'm done.
I took Hammy the hamster and I'm like, Hammy's going to go in the other room. Hammy needs to take a nap. Okay, I'm going to take Hammy to take a nap. And he's like, no, where's Hammy going? And I run into the other room and I put Hammy on top of the refrigerator and I come back to my 3-year-old nephew. I'm like, Hammy's sleeping right now. He's going and taking a nap. Let's go do something else.
Oh my gosh.
Because I couldn't take it. My sensory overload was too much. I just had to make something in that moment. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
Yeah. So I think it's important to realize that being aware of everything you're feeling before the yelling incident is actually the key to stopping the yelling, is to knowing when you're at that point and finding some way to remove yourself from the situation so that you can calm down.
100%. And so those are those moments where it's okay to be like, excuse me, or to just stand there and be quiet and your kids are trying to get your attention. Be like, nope, nope, one more minute. Just take that time you need to do what you need to get, like you said, your body budget back to normal.
Yeah.
Normal level.
And it's, if you have a parenting partner, talk with them about being able to tap out. because that is something that I have with my husband. Like he doesn't talk to me about tapping out. That's something he needs to work on. He just puts his headphones on and that's when I know he's up. He's like, he's on, he's in his budget. And so like I try when he puts his headphones on and he goes to the other room, I try to keep every kid away from him because that's his sign that, okay, I'm going to blow. With me, I go to him and I'm like, I need to tap out and I need you to take this. And he's like, okay. He goes,
that's me too. Like I would come over and just be like, I can't. And he'll be like, I'm on it. I got it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So being able to do that.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes from before and you need to be given time to calm down. Mm-hmm. But if it does happen, there's one thing you can do and that's repair.
Yeah. And everybody can repair. That's the huge thing. So this episode is not only about what do you do to stop the yelling, but what do you do once the yelling happens? Because it happens. It's gonna happen. And I think repairing is the best thing that we possibly can do because repairing shows our kids that we are human, we make mistakes, and that we're okay with those mistakes. And that you can make mistakes and that you can, make amends after those mistakes. I like to say repair better than amends because most of the time when you yell at somebody, there's been some fracture to the relationship at that exact moment. A startle, a cry, a hurt feeling, something like that. And just saying like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to lose my temper. And then like also talking through what I could have done. I could have breathed. I could have told you that I was upset beforehand.
Mm-hmm. That's like one of the most important, one of the least used ones is to say, when you repair something, it's, I'm sorry, I should have told you I was upset, or I'm sorry, I should have told you this sooner. Because a lot of times people can prevent things from happening if they know you're at an agitated state. Sometimes I go to my kids and I'm like, hey, I had a really, really stressful day. If you could just help me out and be really kind to me, I would really appreciate it. And they're like, whoa, okay. And they like take care of you that way. And when you repair, being able to say that to them, I should have told you this because I could have relied on you for help.
Right. I mean, because wouldn't you love that if your kids had that communication skill back to you? I mean, I'm thinking about all the times when my kid was like school age, like elementary school age, how helpful it would have been to be like, I had a really hard day at school today and I just really need a snack. I really need a hug. Instead of us having to try to guess what was going on when they were having meltdowns. Or as a teenager when they just growl at me, and I'm like, what happened? I'm kidding. They growl at me. They growl at me all the time. There's no particular reason. I exist. Nah, I'm kidding. Sort of.
I get it with the teenagers. Sometimes I don't say sometimes, but it's always due to something else. Like, if you have a teenager and they're like being like snippy with you, it's probably not you. It is probably something else that went on in their day.
Or just those lovely hormones.
Yeah. You asking them a question at that moment has just put them over the edge. Their body budget is over the edge.
Yeah.
And like knowing all this about yourself actually helps you be a little bit more compassionate to kids as well. Yeah. Because a lot of times like people come to us and they're like, okay, well, how do we stop the tantrums? How do we stop our kids from yelling? And a lot of it is kids don't have as matured nervous systems as we as adults have.
Right.
There is a lot that gets to them. And a lot that they have no control over, especially if your child has a neurodiversity, such as autism or ADHD.
Or just sensory processing, anything along those lines.
Or sensory processing, anything. It's like me being followed by Hammy the hamster for like all day, and then I would blow up. Like I would definitely blow up. Kids, they could have like an interaction with their friends at school. They could not be dealing with like a sweater that's too scratchy on their skin the entire day.
Yep.
And their nervous system is just done and their tantrum just comes out. And at that moment, it's more about knowing that they're dealing with a lot than actually stopping the tantrum. Because I think a parent state, we hear a tantrum and we're like, oh my gosh, my kid is going to be unsuccessful long term. They're going to have these. They're not going to be able to deal with life. You know our typical refrain, Brie.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like
Live in
my
a
kids,
van down by the river.
yeah,
Mhm.
and no friends, nothing, because they blow up too often. But
Yeah.
really,
So
it's an immature skill.
it's an immature skill. And
Yeah.
thinking in that moment instead of how to stop that, if you switch it to, wow, they're going through a lot right now,
Yeah.
it's going to calm you down. It's going to calm your reaction down. And you're going to be able to think about next steps clearer rather than yelling back.
You know, another thing that I think is amazing about this is that when you do this and you talk to your kids and you say things like, even from the, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to yell, or saying right out the bat, hey, it's been a rough day. I'm kind of raw. If you could just be kind with me and gentle with me for the next couple of hours, that'd be great. Imagine the gift that that gives your kids, because then they're going to start hearing those things and seeing those things, and they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to be thoughtful about that with other people. And then as they go through in life, they see somebody that's kind of like seems grumpy. They'll be like, oh, I wonder if they're having a bad day. I'm going to be kind with them. I'm going to get them, because they're going to be more aware of those things. And what a
Yes.
phenomenal gift is that. That's a huge gift. I would love for my kids to learn that skill of being more empathetic and being more thoughtful of others, and positive communication styles and positive emotional regulation. So
It also gives them a gift of knowing that it's not their fault. Like, I mean, how many
Yes!
times have you been around
Mhm.
somebody and you notice they're irritable and you're like, oh my gosh, they must hate me.
Yeah.
But it's
Or you're
usually
mad because you're like, I didn't do anything. Why are they being so mean to me? And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, wait, yeah, you didn't do anything. They just had a crappy day and didn't sleep last night, and that's why they're cranky. But yeah.
Yeah, to have that be the first thing that goes through your mind versus thinking that it's all your
Yeah.
fault and you're a horrible person and nobody likes you. I mean, I would love to give my kids
Mwah.
like that gift of confidence, because the confidence also breeds the empathy
does.
for others. Like, they go hand in
It
hand.
does.
So you're giving them a gift when you tell them you're raw and you need some kindness and
Yeah.
gentleness. You don't have to power through it. It's actually better to talk about it versus pretending nothing is wrong.
Gosh. Okay. I'm feeling very uplifted after this episode. I hope you guys are too.
Uplifted.
I'm feeling, my heart is feeling much softer right now. So
That's what happens. Like, you become like, oh, they're really going through something
Yeah.
hard. And your whole demeanor changes versus like feeling like you have to fight it the entire time.
exactly.
It's a release.
Exactly. So don't beat yourself up, people. You've got this. You've got this.
No. And if you feel like you're a yeller, know that it is not ingrained in you. It is just a habit. That use some tips from this episode
Break it.
to help you be more mindful of it. And we're always here for you. I mean, if you want a community who has your back, our balance program cannot be beat. It's where Bree and I coach you through parenting, through life skills. We make sure that you have something exciting that you're working towards in addition to having this close and connected relationship with your kids. And you deserve something like this. You deserve it. You deserve to spend time and money on yourself so that you could feel good and you have
And
control.
like we just said, like, not that investing in yourself and giving yourself that grace only further like enriches everybody else around you.
Mhm.
It only further enriches your children, your friends, like everybody who interacts with you. So like we've said, like, you are worth it. Like, I forget which episode we had it in, but like, you are worth the $2 shrimp upgrade. You are worth it, man.
Yes. You are worth it. So we put a link to our Balance membership in the show notes, so go check that out. And until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.